If you're an emerging artist with dreams of someday becoming a global megastar, then I've got some advice for you that you probably won't hear anywhere else. You should definitely aggressively pursue a deal with a major music label. Don't let anyone talk you out of it, don't let anyone stand in your way, and don't let anything you read, see, or hear convince you to back down. I'm Guillermo from Fortivo Music, and in today's episode of our Business of Music video series, I'm going to explain why I give this advice to so many artists and why anyone saying otherwise is absolutely wrong. I'll also give you a checklist to help you determine if working with a label is right for you. Please beware, there are a bunch of caveats, warnings, and disclaimers that come with my advice, so please watch to the end of this video or else you'll miss them. If you're ready, then let's go. First, I feel an obligation to tell you about something I will not talk about here. There's a huge downside to your dream of global fame. This has very little to do with your relationship with your label. It has everything to do with the nature of your future fans and your relationship with them. I'm not going to cover this here because there's already been so much written and said about the severe pitfalls of fame. I'll just give you this cliche advice. Be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. That said, let's talk about that dream of yours. Since you were a kid, you've had this dream of being a superstar. Someone inspired you. Someone was your role model. Someone ignited that spark inside you. So you picked up your first guitar, you banged on your first drum, or you sang into your first hairbrush. Now, all you want to do in life is become the next Prince, Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift, or Beyonce. Or you've hooked up with some friends with similar dreams and you want your band to be the next Beatles, or Queen, or Metallica. You're realistic enough to know that it's going to take a lot of hard work to get there, and probably an equal amount of luck. But you're 100% confident that this is the life you were destined to live. So you're ready to do whatever it takes to get there. This is all great, but you have to accept one reality. This makes you a greedy individual. And I mean this in a very good way. It's a compliment. To paraphrase Gordon Gekko from the movie Wall Street,
greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works.
Greed is the intense desire for something that you want for yourself. Yes, this is usually seen as a negative trait because it's usually used in the context of money or power. But greed can also be a craving for love, for compassion, and for creativity. You are greedy. Face it, admit it, own it. You want your dream to come true, and you won't let anything stop you. Like most people with ambitious dreams, your life path will be a tough road with very slim odds of success. You already know that, but you're absolutely certain that you're going to be one of those very few artists that ever make it big. This self-belief is precisely the core of why I'm advising you to chase that elusive deal with a major label. There's no greater tragedy in life than regret. I would never presume to tell anyone to give up on their dream. Because if you give in to that temptation, then one day you're going to wake up hating yourself for not even trying, or for not trying hard enough, or for not trying long enough. I love sports, so I'll share with you two of my favorite quotes about pushing yourself to do difficult things despite the risks, because otherwise you resign yourself to a long life filled with regrets. The first one is from Canadian hockey superstar Wayne Gretzky, who once said, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." My favorite quote is from American basketball great Michael Jordan. "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." The bottom line is this: there may be a point in time when you might need to get realistic about your chances of achieving your dream, but don't give up on that dream before you get to that point. Chase it as hard as you can for as long as you can, and don't let anyone hold you back. Okay, so you're committed to chasing this dream of stardom. You know you can't do it alone. You're going to need help. Ideally, someone who knows the path to stardom because they've already walked it several times. This is where the music labels come into the picture. Not only do the execs at the labels know the path to stardom, they built the path to stardom. They own the path to stardom. And there's no other path to stardom. In fact, they also created stardom itself. There was no such thing as a global megastar before the labels existed. Actually, music labels were created specifically to create global megastars. Everything about a label, from its employees to its partnerships to its processes and contracts, is geared toward a singular purpose: finding and creating the next global megastar. Even more important for you is the fact that there has never been a global megastar created by any means other than through a major music label. Ever. Now, it may happen that in the near future, some talented artists may find a way of leveraging 21st century's technology and achieve stardom as fully independent artists without a label backing them. However, as of right now, in late 2024, that has not yet happened. Every major music star became a star through their relationship with a major music label. Yes, they've been accused of being greedy, and this is 100% true. Then again, remember that you are also greedy. This is why I'm advising you to try getting a deal with them, because you both have a perfect alignment of greedy objectives. You want to be a star, and they want you to be a star. It's a beautifully symbiotic relationship. You've probably heard, read, or seen a lot of negative stories about the music labels. You've probably had people warn you about working with them, about their dark side, about how they treat artists like crap, about how they own you from the moment you sign your first contract. Okay, let's be honest here. First, all of the bad things you've heard about labels are probably true, at least for those specific circumstances and from the perspective of whoever was telling the story. That said, you have to always remember the human mind's propensity for negative bias. Our Homo sapien brains are wired to respond to bad things. It's part of our natural survival instinct. This is why so much of the news you see is negative news. It's why so many movies have villains in them or have our heroes overcoming adversity. It's why so many of your songs are about heartbreak. Heck, we even have an entire musical genre built upon pain and suffering. We call it the blues. We respond to negativity, often more strongly than we respond to positivity. Without knowing anything else, this would lead you to believe, correctly I might add, that all of the bad stories about the evil, greedy labels are in the very small but vocal minority. Otherwise, there's no way they could survive as businesses. The reality is that the vast majority of artists who work with labels actually have positive experiences with their partnerships. The thing is that you never hear about this silent majority because, frankly, good news isn't popular news. Of course, the best way for you to have a good relationship with your label is to keep in mind what they do for a living and to remember why you're working with them in the first place. They create stars, and you want to be a star. As long as you keep that in mind, you'll always see the label as a strategic partner, and I'm confident that you'll have a good experience with your label. Despite everything I've said so far, signing with a label is not for everyone. So, here's my checklist for you. If you answer yes to all of these questions, then you're ready to shake hands with your label partner. Do you want to be a global megastar? Are you willing to work your ass off to achieve that dream? Are you willing to do whatever the label says is necessary to achieve that dream? Are you willing to work for the label for the rest of your career? Are you willing to give the label ownership rights to all your music forever? Are you willing to perform whatever songs the label tells you to perform, even if you did not write them? Are you willing to dress, look, and talk whatever way the label tells you to? Are you willing to show up wherever and whenever the label schedules you? Are you willing to live on the road and tour as frequently as the label wants you to? Are you willing to record whatever music the label says, whenever the label says, and with whoever the label says? Are you willing to let the label dictate which musicians will play on your recordings, live performances, and tours? If you're in a band, are you willing to let the label fire and replace any of your members? Are you willing to give up all creative control to the label? Are you willing to give up control of your time and personal life to the label? Are you willing to give the label up to 90% of your revenues? Are you comfortable with the label getting rich off your music and your hard work, even if you don't see any money going into your personal bank account? Again, you have to answer yes to all of these questions in order to be ready for a deal with a major music label. You absolutely have to see all of this as a very small price to pay for the chance to achieve something that very few artists have ever achieved, and something that you feel in your soul to be your destiny. If you even hesitated in answering even one of these questions, or if going through the checklist generated more questions in your mind, then you probably need to reassess everything I just told you in this video. Okay, you made it through the checklist. Congratulations, you're on your way. Before you finish this video and charge off to chase that music label contract, I just want to walk you through 5 scenarios of where this path may lead you. Again, if you think about this up front, you're less likely to end up regretting your decision later in life. Scenario number 1, you never get signed. You could chase the music labels for years and never get a deal. Given the slim odds of making it big, this should not be a surprise to you. Along the way, you may make a lot of painful sacrifices, all in pursuit of your dream of stardom. At some point, this may lead you to finally give up on that dream. Just know that this is okay. Life will still go on, you'll still have music in your life. At least you can then get on with your life without any regrets, because you took a shot. At least you tried. Scenario number 2, you get signed, but you never record anything. There are a lot of artists that finally land a deal with a label, but then the label never gets them into the recording studio or out on tour. This is relatively rare, but it does happen. It can be frustrating and even depressing. Hopefully you can find a way out of your deal and onto a different label that gives you a better path forward. Just remember that labels are businesses, and everything is always up for negotiation. As long as you treat them professionally and with respect, they'll do the same. Keep your cool, be patient, and don't give up on your dream. Scenario number 3, you record something that never gets released. This is also rare, but not that uncommon. There are a number of reasons why a label may forego releasing your music. Unfortunately, since they own it, that's their decision to make, and typically there's nothing you can do about it. Again, just keep in mind that they are businesses and everything is up for negotiation. Don't let this discourage you or give up on your dream. Scenario number 4, you get some traction, but not enough. This is probably the most common scenario for artists in a label's portfolio. So this is the one that you have to be the most comfortable with going into the relationship. You record an album or 2, and you go out on a tour or 2. But for whatever reason, you're just not catching the attention of the right audience or a big enough audience. The label may try making some changes and getting you out a 3rd time or a 4th time. Or they may try taking you in a completely different direction. Or they may give up on you and stop investing time, money, and resources into your career. Along the way, you'll be working your ass off and making money for the label, but not seeing any money for yourself. Because of the way your contract is structured, your share of revenues is so small and your expenses are so large that you may actually even still be losing money and going into debt, even while the label is making a decent amount of money off your work and your music. Admittedly, this is probably the toughest situation you'll ever find yourself in, either financially, psychologically, creatively, emotionally, and even physically. This is when it will be hardest to stay professional and negotiate with the label. But remember that they're trying to run a business, not to cater to your desires. Try to work with them on a path forward that gets you closer to your dream, while also allowing them to achieve their goals. Unfortunately, even though they're making money and they have more resources than you, the burden of getting yourself out of this quagmire will likely fall on your shoulders. Just accept that this is a possibility and be ready for it. Scenario number 5, you become Taylor Swift. Yes, even if you and your label both succeed in achieving both of your greedy goals, the relationship can still go sour. This is where the media pounces on the negative stories. It seems like every week or month there's another megastar who's suing their label over creative control, money, brand rights, and a million other disagreements. I don't want to spend too much time on this scenario because it's what my daughter calls a first world problem. My wish for you is that someday you'll be so successful that you'll have the same issues with your label that Taylor Swift had with hers. And that's all I've got for you today. I hope this has been a helpful exercise and that you'll check out some of the other videos on our channel. We'll be publishing more in this series over the coming weeks, so please subscribe to keep up with our videos. Thanks again for listening, and best of luck with your musical journey.